right, welcome back to another episode of the Kitchen Table Podcast, where business gets done. I'm your host, Ken Baden. Today, I have a sinus infection, so I sound like, I don't know, the lunch lady from, is it The Simpsons? I don't know. You need to move towards the back of the line. Or is it like that cliche? Who's that actress? Oh, darling, I don't even know. Who's that? Who is that? That's a cartoon person. Who is it? You know what I'm talking about? Oh, darling. Oh, yeah, well, it sounds like the voice of, you're not going to know this show. It's Venture Bros. That's an old show on Cartoon Network. But that is, what's her name? That is the Monarch's wife. You ever see that? If you look up Venture Bros and it's the Monarch's girlfriend.
There's a Netflix version of this. I have been watching this.
Yeah, she's that's exactly how she sounds. But there's a bunch of cartoons. Anyhow, that's how I sound like this. We were supposed to have Miss Chelsea on today, but scheduling snafu messed that up. And that's okay, because honestly, I don't mind a quick one-on-one with myself episode, because it gives us an opportunity to talk about kind of what's been going on. And frankly, I've been wanting to focus this podcast on the roofing industry, roofing specific, the roofing niche. So we've been trying to have more roofers on. You know, Dimitri and I were just speaking this morning, but really just focusing in on what we're dealing with, because, you know, if you're listening to this, chances are you're either in roofing or the home services space. And home services in general is really where I'd like to make my niche, with an emphasis on roofing. But not only, because we also do windows, siding, and, you know, I have a lot of experience there. So in our market, it tends to be kind of like roofing, windows, siding, doors, exteriors. Whereas in other markets, when you're roofing, and you're doing insurance roofing, there's a lot of different things, a lot of different variables. So home services specific is definitely what I want to focus on, with an emphasis and passion in roofing. So let's talk roofing. Let's talk like a state of the union as it really pertains to not only roofing, but I'll go home services as a whole in the DC metro region. What we're seeing right now is some of the biggest companies in the area, many of whom I have friends and mentors and peers that either work there, own, CEO, whatever, you name it. I've been making it my business for some time to build a network of some of these folks. And so I know with intimate knowledge that a lot of these companies are cutting staff by 50%, either by choice or forcibly. Some are just completely going under. You know, some companies owe their distributor $2 million because they haven't paid their bills, which isn't good, because then you can't install anything. You can sell all you want. If you can't install, you're going to be in big trouble. Now, how does that happen? You know, so I'd like to reflect on that a bit. You know, last year, and we're certainly not the biggest company, but Potomac is the baby. Potomac will be a household name. And in my opinion, years like this, where everyone else is down and everyone else that's big is having to cut, or worse, that opens up market cap. That opens up sections of the market that you otherwise wouldn't have access to, because these companies are scaling back. You know, they're not advertising the way they were. And so that opens up a lot of opportunity. It's just like any market, though. It's just like, you know, playing the stock market. When the stock market's down, a lot of investors buy, because they buy cheap. You know, there's a lot of people that do that play the stock market, that when it's down, they buy. When it's up, they sell, whatever, right? I don't think our market is any different. It's just where you are in that market really depends on what your move is. It may be that you need to cut your payroll in half because you're just too big. But we'll come back to that. Because I believe if you get that big, and you maintain the net profitability that you were seeking from the beginning, In other words, you just hold true to a certain profit standard, no matter how big you get, then it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? If you're 100 million, but you're operating at a 20% net profit, well, then you're solid. You know, it's no different than when you were at 10 million operating at a 20% net profit. Well, it's a lot more money, but meaning like when things get tight, I believe the reason why a lot of these bigger companies have to make the moves they make are because they're not operating at that profit. Because as they get bigger, somewhere along the way, they sacrificed profit for volume. And I'm sure they intended to come back to it, but they just never did. At least that's the way it looks. You know, one of my mentors even told me, like, look, never lose that profitability mindset. Like, that standard you've set, never deviate from it. And if you deviate from it for a month, maybe a quarter, it sure as hell better be because the intention is to gain more at the end of that quarter. So we sacrifice a bit for a quarter in effort to go from, you know, let's say 20% net profit was our standard. We operate at 10 for a quarter, but the maneuvering that we've done throughout that quarter allows us to skyrocket up to 30% from then on. That makes sense. And you have to have a very short leash on that. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just do that. If you're going to do that, you have to do that with a timeline, a short leash, like I said, and like a cutoff date. Like, if we find ourselves getting to this point and we've not done that, we just bail. We cut all of that. We go back to the profit that we knew if we weren't successful in our move. And we've had to do that. Even this year, we've had to do that. We've tried new hires, new positions, propping up new divisions. And in 90 days, at the end of that 90 days, those divisions aren't either profitable, that hire isn't profitable and paying for itself, the numbers aren't looking right, it doesn't matter what the situation is or what time of year it is, we just got to cut it. And we will, for the betterment of the company. And I think not doing that, because that gets really frustrating. It does. It's really frustrating because you're like, man, you know, it is winter. It's hard to gauge this. It's hard to gauge that. Well, it is. But if you don't do that, the risk you run is you keep going and you keep getting yourself in the hole and you never get out, you know? And I think that's what a lot of these bigger companies do. Is somewhere along the way, they sacrificed they wanted to get bigger. So they accepted less profit. For example, I'm going to use myself and my company as an example. And I'm going to be smart because I don't want to give too much of the inner workings away out of the respect of my people. But for those people trying to come up, you know, we spent a whole lot of money the first half of the year. It's almost halfway through the year. A whole lot of money on brand building, brand recognition, all the things that take time that then yield leads in the future. SEO, you know, we've gotten to 9 figures and just completely boots on the ground, having never really spent anything relative to branding, SEO, any of these things. Well, quarter one, that was what our focus was. It was like, look, we hit all of our goals last year. We have extra money. Let's throw it at that. So we did quite a bit. We spent the whole first quarter doing that. We did. And then we kept going. And eventually it gets to a point where it's like, here we are halfway through the year, and these things require more maintenance, more time, more money. And, you know, we didn't see the results that we wanted to see from things like social media and stuff like that. And so at some point, Kevin, our CFO, is like, well, hey, look, you know, I know we're voting on the next company that we're looking at relative to helping us out with, you know, Facebook and social media. Let's have a conversation before we do that, because I don't know that I see the utility there. I don't know that I see the justification for continuing to spend if we can expect to receive what we've been receiving. And again, they may say, well, look, this takes time and we can fix this and we can turn this around. It's going to take 90 days. It could very well be that what we decided to do is like, we're just going to have to park this, do what we know, invest in what we know, people, canvassing, get really aggressive on those things for the back half of the year, and come back around to those things, as frustrating as it is. And we'll do whatever we have to do that is most probable to get us to the point we need to be at relative to our overall net profit and the security of our company as a whole. That's the move we're going to make. So it's making those kinds of decisions and being willing to do that quickly and deal with and accept when you made a mistake or that a thing just isn't working or it isn't panning out, it isn't making you money, it's frustrating, but you can't just keep throwing more and more money at it, and eventually that's just not going to work. So I say that with hopes that helps someone save some money, but ultimately these are just the growing pains that comes with business. And we intend to be a household name. We will be. So we know we got to spend some money. Now it's the back half of the year. We spent a whole lot of it for branding. Now it's time to make it back. So that's what we intend to do. Market that's good, market that's bad, doesn't matter. People need roofs. People need to take care of their homes. We're going to make it easy for them to do that. And we're going to make sure that they know our name. That's all there is to it. Potomac Custom Remodeling in the next 5 years is going to be a top 5 remodeling company, period. Potomac is going to be a household name. Like, oh yeah, I use Potomac. Like, I see it. I can feel it. You know, we're going to record another ad this weekend. Maybe we'll slide another one in there. I do think it's important, Roger, that we use the tagline, "We got a guy," no matter what, even in this one. Like, even at the end of the family one, because that seems to be taking hold. You know, I created that just trying to be memorable. Mo, I don't know if you saw the comment in the group chat, but he was saying that, like, he heard his wife on the phone with one of the leads that was set, and he was like, "Is this the I Got a Guy roofing company?" So that's pretty cool. So even if we do me, Becca, and the baby at the end, I might just be like, look, don't climb the ladder. We got a guy. But that's besides the point. So anywho, state of the union in our DMV market currently is that what is normally a recession-proof market appears to be anything but. In fact, the closeness and proximity to the city, it seems to be like people are just scared. That's probably most places around the country. They're holding on to the money more than they would, and that makes sense given the certain socioeconomic restraints that we're dealing with, as well as just the war and everything else. I mean, people are just, scared. But I'll tell you what, I sold windows in 2008. That's when I got into this industry. What they told me then was that people weren't moving, people weren't selling their homes, so they're going to be reinvesting back into their existing homes, which means they're going to need windows. And they were right. And so I think this is the same scenario. It's just a matter of who is going to be around. What are you going to do to be different? How are you going to accommodate folks? We're not the cheapest company out there. We never will be. It's just not who we are. We don't offer, cheap products, and we're not out here trying to bamboozle people and bait and switch. That's just not who we are, But not everybody cares about that. Some people really just want the cheapest thing. They're flipping their house. They're not going to live there. It's a rental, whatever. And that just might not be the right customer for us. But it's being willing to entertain, like, hey, is there a lower package option that's still quality, that doesn't compromise our integrity or our values or core values, but isn't like, the best package available. You know what I mean? Being willing to entertain something like that. Financing options, increasing financing options, making it easier for people to pay. Recently, I was looking at what they call the 6 pillars, the 6 core principles. As far as I'm aware, it's just the 6 core principles of business. Tried to find a book, but all I could find is like just information on 6 Sigma principles. That's what this is, the 6 Sigma principles. And it just looks like it's something that's taught in just different business schools and different schools around the country. And you could even get certified in it, like EOS. But the 6 Sigma principles, the core principles, are as follows. Principle 1, focus on the customer. The primary goal is delivering business value defined by the customer. Quality is measured, by consistently meeting or exceeding their expectations. So number one, focusing on the customer. Number two, identify and understand the value stream. So map the process to understand exactly how work is completed and identify steps that add value versus those that are wasteful. And I think we do a really good job at that. Number three, remove variation and bottlenecks. Decrease the opportunity for defects by streamlining processes and removing errors caused by inconsistency. Number four, make data-driven decisions. Replace emotional assumptions with hard data. Collect metrics to identify the true root causes of problems rather than just treat their symptoms. Number five, involve and equip the people. Foster a collaborative culture by training, empowering, and involving employees across all levels of the process. And number six, aim for continuous improvement. Establish a flexible, proactive culture where ongoing process enhancement and error reduction are the standard. Key methodologies, depending on whether you are fixing an issue or fixing an existing process or creating a new one. Six Sigma uses two primary five-phase framework. The DMAIC, DMAIC, DMADV, these are acronyms. So DMAIC does define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. DMADV, define, measure, analyze, design, verify. So anyhow, super cool concept. I don't want to go into this and turn this into a class. But the Six Sigma principle is very cool. I thought that was something, I didn't know that, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? Like, I'm somebody who's read so many books. I know a ton, but it just goes to show you how much I still have to learn. You know what I mean? You know who told me that? My freaking canvas manager. Field canvassing manager, field marketing manager. I meet with a young guy that been here for a week and he teaches me something. So, always being willing and open to learn, man. Because I could have been like Mr. President guy and been like, oh yeah, I know that. I don't know that. And I want to learn that. If there's some value in it, I want to learn it. And there was a lot of value in it. So, really impressed. So that was cool. I thought that was awesome. Okay. What else? It's within personal life. So I've got an 8-month-old daughter, and she's into freaking everything.
So pretty.
She is very pretty. Very pretty. She's adorable, dude. She's the cutest kid. Becca and I did an excellent job, man. We worked so hard to get that kid here. You know, a year and a half of just, you know, I'm assuming she's fine with me talking about it now, but just we went through a lot of trouble to get her here. I don't even know if it was necessary, full disclosure. You know, I had some things I had to work with, but like, because we were a little older, I just ran right to the route that was like, hey, we need to make sure this gets done, and I don't think, we're never going to do that again. Thankful that it worked, thankful that we made it happen, but God bless anybody having to go through that, you know. Anybody that's having troubles with getting pregnant, I feel for you guys, man. We've been there. It's freaking tough. It's hard on the relationship, really hard on the relationship. Denies intimacy, you know, because like the baby making phase is supposed to be very fun. And that takes all the fun out of it. And it's just, you know, it's very lonely. I know she felt very lonely. And I felt, you know, it just was tough, man. So like you go through that, disappointment after disappointment, then you guys are like separated a bit. You've got this wall up between you because the thing that brings you together is intimacy and closeness. You don't have that. She feels all kinds of stuff because they're pumping them full of hormones and they gain weight and just, you know, and she looks so good, man. She's done such an amazing job postpartum. And she just looks damn near, if not exactly like she did before. And I mean, she's the type too where she's just going to keep going until she's like better. Which is why, one of the reasons why I married her. She's just, that's just how she is. You know, she's not only takes care of herself, but finds time to take care of everybody around her. But the reason I brought this up is the kid freaking got us sick, for one. That's why I sound like this. I don't know how that's possible. Don't know where she got something from that we didn't give her. It was an eventful weekend, to say the least, man. But it's been, recently I've been really big on, like, not living in the future. Like, all last year I was so obsessed with goals and, like, hitting the goals and just stressing about stuff. And, like, dude, we essentially made it. You know what I mean? We've got this beautiful kid. I've got this beautiful wife. And I keep, like, you know, telling myself, like, oh, man, something weird's going on. I feel weird. There's something weird's going on. I'm acting weird. I'm just happy. You know what I mean? Like, that's really all there is to it. I've just been happy. Like, I'm thankful and appreciative every day that I wake up and I have a beautiful wife who's healthy and a beautiful daughter who's healthy. A business that's, you know, in a great position to do some awesome things. Like, it's just like, it's so good that a guy like me, coming from where I come from, I didn't even plan on being alive today. So I don't have these thoughts of, like, growing old and doing all these things that Becca has, and we were talking about this, and now I do. Now it's really important to me that these things happen. So much so that it's, like, overwhelming. It scares the shit out of me. You know, like, oh my God, I got these things that are so important to me now, and, like, I don't want to lose them. And then I just start stressing about losing them, and, like, that just robs you of, like, everything you got right now. Like, that's crazy. You know what I mean? It steals your peace, yeah. 100%, man. The thought of that is just so stupid because it's fear. And fear usually manifests itself in one of two ways. The fear of losing something that you got, or the fear of not getting something that you want. And for me, I'm no exception, you know? Like, for me, my biggest thing has been, for sure, stressing about something that's not going to happen, that's never happened. And you can't control certain things, man. So control what I can control. I'm going to go and get a colonoscopy on Monday, which I do not want to do. But I'm 40, and even though they say don't do it till 45, people in my family have been bugging me to do it. And so now I feel obligated to do it. So I'm going to go do it. So I'm going to do it for them. Easy things. Yeah, I think so. They better. I hope so too. I'm pretty sure they do. My brother got it at like 30 and they found some stuff. I mean, nothing like him, but they, you know, they said, oh, you got to go. And, like, I'm sure I do. But I'm sure I'll be just fine. But even that, I'm like, would not normally be, other than the obvious reasons why I'd be stressing it. Now I'm stressing it more. You know what I mean? Because now I got things I care about. Now all of a sudden there's consequence. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't give two days. I wouldn't care at all if it was just me. You know what I mean? But, like, so just the point of bringing this up, I guess, is just talking about where I'm at. But ultimately, like, those two things are my biggest why when it becomes, you know, when it comes to success. Those are the two things that push me more than anything, my wife and my child. And those are the two things that have me just feeling really happy lately. And I couldn't put my finger on it. I kept calling it, like, I'm being weird. I'm being weird again, making posts about Becca. Why am I posting about Becca? Posting too much about Becca. It looks weird. I'm being weird. And I'm just happy, man. I'm just happy. I'm happy because when we tried so hard for so long to get this baby here, and then we got it, and then, you know, the first few months, man, it just, like, work. It just work. And you really can't enjoy each other. It's just work. You know what I mean? You can't really, like, you don't have a second to think and stop and slow down and be like, man, this is so great. And I mean, I was happy and appreciative, but, like, where we're at now, things are getting to a point where, like, I can do that. You know what I mean? We can go out. We can take the baby out. She's fun as shit. She's adorable. And it's just enough to where I can, like, I have a chance to think. And then the second I have a chance to think, it's like you wake up and you're like, holy shit. I've got this beautiful kid, this awesome, beautiful, precious kid, this beautiful wife. Like, dude, I've won. I won. Like, everything that happened in life, everything that happened, Becca and I's story, we talk about it all the time, man. Like, as much as I hate it, you know, I love it too because, man, it's just such a real, rare, like, and it was 20 years ago. It's a long time ago. It feels like to her and I, like yesterday, you know. There's still hurt there between both of us from then, you know what I mean? Like, I have the biggest regrets, some of the biggest regrets of my life. One of the biggest regrets of my life was screwing that up when we met 20 years ago. You know what I mean? And I've said that a million times around you. I know you've heard that. But I mean, that wouldn't have changed anything because I was fucking 24 years old, dude. There was no chance in hell I would have dated that, because we would have dated, and we would have been the way we are. We would have been together for a long time, and we would not be together now. That's what I'm getting at. Because I was not anywhere near the man that I am. I wasn't a man at all, first of all. You know, I didn't have anything figured out. My addiction hadn't even started to take over. Within 6 months of her and I splitting, it was just God doing for us what we just couldn't see. We were both kids, you know. And so as frustrating as it is that we lost that time, I'm so thankful that the universe was just like, ho, 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 ho. You guys, you two are supposed to be like, because it's the only thing I can explain as to like why we kept popping back into each other's lives, why I kept checking in, why I cared so much, you know what I mean? To just keep popping back in, you know. I really feel like, you know, if they say there's multiple universes and all these things and infinite realities, I feel like the way that is with us, the unexplainable, like, why is it so important? Why we always keep circling back? Why do we do all this? It's like, there's a me and her and probably damn near every single one of those. I really think that, man. I really do. You know, she's had me recently. Just a lot of things have changed for me in the last, like, 6 months. Most of it's the kid, but in 6 months, because, like I said, the first few months you can't think. And before that, you're just about to have a baby. You know what I mean? So, like, she's just pregnant. You're prepping. You know, it's just, like, that was still during that phase where we really couldn't, like, enjoy each other. Nervous. You want to make sure the baby gets here healthy. And then she's here, and then it's just work. But since then, since, like, a couple months in, man, since I've been able to, like, since she's been able to be enjoyed, you know, like, got a nanny, figured it out, got comfortable, got in our flow, got really dialed into work. Now it's like just less stress, so much less stress, so much less, so much more responsibility, so much less stress, because I don't care. I don't care like I cared. I'm like, the goals and stuff matter 100%. In many ways, they've never mattered more. But I know we're going to hit them. Like, that's just who I am. I'm not going to do anything less. I don't have that in me to do anything less. But how I am and how I behave while pursuing those goals, that is a big deal. Because I'm either going to be this obsessive, controlling, just try to will it to happen, and that's the hardest path to it, and probably the slowest. Anytime I just open up and I just invite God in and do the work, of course, but, like, don't stress and just, like, man, it's gonna happen. I've already won. Like, that's the way I look at it. Like, doing that, hitting that goal in business doesn't complete me. It's not like, oh my gosh, if I don't do this, I'm a failure. I already won. Like, where I'm at right now, every day that I wake up and I've got her next to me and that baby and my 2 dogs, like, I've already won every single day, every day. So I'm not supposed to be here. I wasn't supposed to be here statistically. You know, I already lost her once, you know, years ago. And so, like, the probability that we find ourselves back together and now we get to enjoy each other and everything we said we were going to do, we're doing. Hey, we're going to have this baby. We gave up our first, like, couple years of marriage because we're older and we're going to have this kid. But then we're going to get in really good shape. We're going to enjoy each other, maybe have another baby, do the same thing, get fit, be healthy. We're not going to do what we see people do where they, like, get married, have kids, get all out of shape and distant, man. I just don't get it. Like, why'd you get married? Like, what was the point of getting married then? I don't get that. You know, maybe because we got married when we were, like, grown, you know, in our 30s. I think that's it. You know, like, we knew, like, this is the only reason this makes sense is if we're going to do this. Like, we're going to stay hot for each other. We're going to stay attractive for each other. You know, people do the opposite. They get all fat, out of shape, and complacent, and almost grow resentment for one another, and then you split And the first thing you do is you try to get back in shape. And you're back on the market, only now you're in your 30s or 40s and you're in a dating pool and you've got kids or whatever. Like, why didn't you do that with them? I don't get that. I am loving the trend that I'm seeing, though. I see more and more women. Like, it's been a big theme. Like, women now in 2026, like, so many of them are posting about, like, no, we're not doing this, like, miserable mom thing. We're working out. We're taking care of our bodies. We're taking care of our spirit. We're taking care of our mental. We're, our biggest flex, our husband's biggest flex. We're loving our kids. We're having a blast being moms. A lot of them are stay-at-home moms. I don't know, man. I'm really digging that. Like, I think that's really healthy, man. I think that's really healthy. Becca is my best friend and teammate, man. And, like, I've been on some lover boy stuff lately, too, man. Big time. Which I haven't done since I was, like, a kid. Which means she's really getting something out of me. Because I wrote her a little note the other day and everything, like a little love sonnet. I was going to write her something. I ended up texting it, but I couldn't find any paper. Because I couldn't articulate. I keep saying, like, hey, I love you, and kissing and stuff like that. But, like, I really wanted her to understand, like, I want you to really, truly get what I'm saying when I'm saying this to you. Because I'm not just saying I love you in some sort of trivial, like, I don't know. Like, I wanted her to really understand, like, what's behind that. Because it's deeper than that, especially for me. Because you saved me in many ways. Because I was dead for a long time, even after I came back. You know what I mean? I was just on autopilot. Back was against the wall and just kind of moving. And, like, I see her, like, you helped me not go through bankruptcy. Like, before we were even dating, we were dating other people. Like, it's like I genuinely didn't have a choice in the matter. Like, we were just meant to be. And it's like being two people that the universe, like I said, I genuinely believe there's a me and a her in, like, every timeline. And I feel like we weren't. Like, we were being pushed towards each other. And to finally get together, the feeling of what that feels like when you both just give in and it's like, all right, let's make this happen. And let's not only make it happen, let's go for broke and see what we can accomplish together. Like, the feeling of what that feels like is, like, indescribable. Being two people that were, like, destined to be together and took the longest, hardest path to make it happen. And then finally just like, all right, cool, let's do this. Not that just recently happened, but like I said, man, we've had a lot going on the last 2 years. We're trying to make this baby. There's been everything. So, I don't know. That's really been absorbing. This is going to end up taking up the whole podcast. And if you're listening to this, you're probably like, what in the fuck is this guy talking about?
That's good.
But genuinely, man, one, I'm just talking about what's going on in my life. But two, this woman and this baby are everything that pushed me to be successful in business. And I've never been more motivated, but I've also never been more relaxed. I've never been more stress-free. I've never been more happy. And I couldn't even figure out what the word was for happy without continually saying I'm being weird. And I reject that because NLP, you know what I mean? Like, I kept catching myself, like, why do I keep saying that, man? Like, almost like you're being soft, you're being weird. Like that's why is that weird, bro? Like, it's my wife. I should probably be happy, But ultimately, it's like you're just happy. You're grateful. Every morning, I'm grateful. Like, man, this is awesome, man. Like, seeing that, I mean, dude, I want to work hard. I want to, in life too, man. Like, your 40s now are about to be people's primes, bro. Like, especially financially and, like, the way science is now, man. Like, they got anti-age reversing things and stuff like that. Like, I want to make as much money as possible to give my wife and my daughter and myself every opportunity, and the people around me every opportunity to explore those things. One, because I think we're going to need them, because frankly, like, the system here in America is jacked up, feeding you a bunch of poison and the health and all that, but don't get me started on that. But it's just different motivations, I guess. I don't know, man. But I've been really, really happy lately. And the goals haven't changed. It's just, I've recognized that the thing I was working so hard to get to, I already have.
That was good.
And so it's just like, you need to enjoy it, dude. What are you doing? You know what I mean? It's time to enjoy it right now. Like, not later. Enjoy it right now. Every day. Every day, enjoy that shit. So that's what I do. That's where I've been. So I make her the happiest she can possibly be. You know, it's not weird. It's not lame. It's not soft, you know. Like, she is. I'm very lucky she even gave me another shot, first of all. But anyhow, my wife's awesome. I love her to death. I've been love bombing the shit out of her online. She's like, people are gonna think you did something wrong. I didn't do anything wrong. I'm just happy, man. I'm happy. So I've got a beautiful daughter and a beautiful wife. Like, dude, what's not to be happy about? A great business, successful business, great customers, great people that work here. You know, what do you know, to not recognize that as the blessing that it is a crime. You know? And it's a shame. And it's only in fear that that happens. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thought process as worrying about the future, getting, who knows, right? Getting hit by a car. Worrying about something you can't control because you're worried about losing what you have. It's the same premise in business, right? Like, not recognizing your successes today and where you've come from and being like thankful for that and stressing only about hitting the next highest goal or tier in business robs you of the joy and the growth that you've had. Like, it robs you of today, now, you know? So I'm sitting in that a lot more, and it's been very healthy for me. So we're going to go for broke. We're going to do it this year. But I've got a lot more skills. I've grown a lot in the last 6 months, man. So I think you'll see a much more calm approach to the same situation. You know what I mean? We're going to do it. We're going to, at the end of this year, we're going to be in a place where we will be sought after. We are the best investment in roofing, period. That's a fact. And the DMV, that's a fact. Investment. Right, somebody that wanted to be just looking to find something and someone in a company to bet on. You know, I had a company we were talking to recently, and awesome company, PE company, and we were talking to them, and we were literally an email away from an offer. And they asked me what my plans were personally, and I was honest, like, oh well, you know, I think I'll stay around for the first couple turns, but like, it really made me rethink some things, you know, like, they obviously were wanting to hear, like, I'm just in forever no matter what. But that is the truth. Like, I am looking to see this company become a household name, whatever that takes. But it's so funny in, like, how you word things, what you say, how you say it. Just, we're learning a whole lot. So this has been a really fun ride. We are looking for good people. That is where we are. Where we are in business is we need people. People. Leads, people, brand, people, leads. We're growing, and we refuse to, like, step back and do anything but. So if you are someone that wants to learn the home, and I'm saying this, and on Friday I met a young man in the gym, right? Stopped me mid-workout. It's almost like egregious. Like, who is this dude? Expecting me to take my earbuds out in the middle of my workout. Came right up to me, man. Give me a firm handshake, though. So I was like, okay. Very firm handshake. Introduced himself and said he follows a podcast. So I was like, okay, all right, cool, man. That's awesome, dude. Thank you so much. He was like, yeah, man, I'm a big fan of the podcast. Follow the podcast. So I follow your Instagram. Wants to get into the home services industry. Probably listening to this, and was like, you know, I want to learn, I want to get into it. I started to understand, like, okay, I think he might be interested in possibly coming by and picking him up. You never know, man. I get guys that want me to coach them and things like that, but ultimately I'm like, well, if you're really serious, man, then like, I'd find a company like my own to go and work for and learn, you know, and build with. You're young. And so he's coming in Thursday, and we'll see how that goes. But that's dope, man. So this podcast has been a blessing as well. You know, we've got this industry has been such a roller coaster, and it continues to be crazy oversaturated. It still is. But it's never been easier, I think, to separate yourself. There's so much out there, so many people, so many companies, but with everything being the way that it is, I think a lot of companies and a lot of folks are going to be weeded out. So, it's just like I said, like betting on the stock market. There's people that clam up when the stock market sucks, and there's people that make a living on a stock market like that, and they buy when it's cheap, and that's how we're going to be. We're gonna pick up the market cap that wouldn't be available. We're going for it, and we're all in, man. So if you're listening to this and you want to work with a home services company or a roofing company that's growing, that will reinvest in you, Potomac is it. Potomac is the future. Potomac is going to be a household name, man. And we won't stop until we're not. We won't stop until we are. Potomac will be the next Thompson Creek, Power, you name it, Long. We've got every resource and every reason to be. And anyone that sees, that's the thing. We don't want to sell. We want to be invested in. That's what I think people get confused with. They think, you want to sell to private equity. No. We want to be invested in. We are an investment. And the right investor would be smart to come in and give us some benchmarks to hit and reward that. And we're going to crush it. We get that and we will be Power. We just need a little bit of resources that aren't us and what we've scraped together. You know what I mean? That makes you feel a lot more confident when it's not your own stuff, and a little industry help from folks that have been there and done that and grown that big. So that's still the plan, still what we're doing, still what we're going to do. Biggest thing right now for us is people, recruiting. That's been our biggest struggle, and it's purely just based on volume. We need a lot of people. Leads is always going to be a struggle, but I think we've got an excellent group of people here to make that happen. That's always one of the biggest issues in retail. And some of it's complacency over last year, man. A lot of guys did really, really well, and they're still shaking off some cobwebs and like, dude, last year is not it. Now you got to go do it again. You know what I mean? So I see that a lot in guys. Like, you have a good year, you let that good year, if you're not careful, keep you from having another one. And like, that is not what we do. You know what I mean? Like, we keep going better. We keep doing better. We keep growing. So you got to be very careful in sales to not let your success be ultimately your downfall. Like, if you're not careful in sales, you can get complacent very, very quickly, and you can let that complacency make you stagnant and keep you from growing. Like, sales is just the one place and the one thing where, like, you can literally just continue to grow, continue to crush it, continue to just, the sky's the limit. There's no cap. So, like, you determine that. You get comfortable at a certain number, you will stay at that number, period. So you'd be well advised to never get comfortable at any number. Get really comfortable at being uncomfortable. And lastly, I want to say this, man. I had some reps being in a house recently where I've got one of my best reps. He's had like 3 customers in a row that are like his kryptonite, and they're basically just rude people. And as a business owner, I'll say this. I will never, ever, 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 ever tolerate someone being rude or disrespectful to my people. Ever. We will never co-sign that type of behavior. And we will never, ever expect anyone that works here to accept being treated that way for money. That's just not what we're going to do. We're not going to trade our integrity for your work. We don't need it that bad. We'd love to earn your business, but we don't need it. And we certainly aren't going to trade it in for our integrity. So I told him, call bad behavior to the carpet. So if you're in sales and you hear this is from the owner, I would back my people up 100 times out of 100 in those situations. In this particular situation, he gets there and the guy's giving him a hard time about being there on a holiday, at dinner time, no less, whatever, like just being really, really rude to the guy and nasty and condescending. And I told him, I said, next time you stop, and you do it always politely, obviously, But just don't be afraid to do it. In fact, you have to, because if you don't do it, if you don't call crappy behavior to the carpet, if you don't address it, it'll continue and you'll ultimately won't sell anything anyhow. You won't gain a new client. You'll just be being berated for no reason, and then you won't sell. So, are you getting any videos of this too, or maybe okay? So, from your phone or something, or your little things. So, ultimately, what I told him to do was this: tell the guy the exact same thing he just said. Yes, you're right, sir. Actually, hold on. I want to make sure there's not a mistake here, because it's sounding like maybe I'm not supposed to be here, or because you're right. You know, it is a holiday. It is dinner time. I actually just left my fiance and drove an hour plus to be here on a holiday at dinner time. And I'm happy to be here. I'm thankful to be here. This is how I pay my bills. But if I'm not wanted here, and this is something that's inconvenienced you, clearly, you know, we can always reschedule. I certainly don't want to be a problem. And just flat out call the behavior to the carpet, just like that. You know, you don't have to be nasty or argumentative. You never be argumentative, but call it to the carpet. Put a spotlight on it. Best case scenario, the guy's like, no, you know, you're right, or whatever, right? Best case scenario, the guy is an actual decent human. He's just kind of an asshole sometimes, or you never know what people are going through. If that person is just genuinely a terrible person, well, I guess you can expose that and save yourself some time. But if you're working for a company that's decent and has core values, they will never sacrifice their people being treated poorly for money. It's never going to fly here. You know, our customers are the best. We're not for everybody. And that's okay. You know, we offer a premium product, a premium service, and premium treatment, and we expect, you know, to be respected just like we respect you. So, excited about shooting the commercial this week, bringing my family element into it, kind of leaning in a little bit more into like I don't want to say the spotlight, but like bringing the family into it, man. I don't know, you know, like that part of the brand, me, Becca, and the kid. I asked Justin and his wife to be a part of it, and he said, no. So maybe we'll feature a couple of the guys, but Potomac is my legacy, and it's going to be my family's legacy and Justin's legacy and everybody that works here's legacy. And I'm really excited to see where we go this year. So you guys just stay tuned. Hopefully I didn't drone on too much. I tell you what, if you listen to this episode, I hope you got something out of it. It was just impromptu, but it was fun for me to be able to just kind of talk, you know, because I'm in a great place and I'm very, very thankful. Very thankful. And I want to show you what that looks like, because I'm telling you, like, that gratitude is going to serve us well. We'll circle back at the end of the year. This is really the halfway point. So we'll circle back to the end of the year. I should be really frustrated. You know, we're about exactly where we were last year. So we can make up another 5, 10 million, double up. Like, we should be ahead for sure. But we'll pick up. I'm not worried about that. It's just with the amount of money we've spent, we should be further in that, right? But I'm confident that the crop will be harvested the back half of the year based on the seeds planted first half. I'm very confident in that. So we'll just have to see. We'll circle back at the back end of the year. If you guys are listening to this, you have any questions, you have any topics, you have any people you'd like to see on. Remember, I'm trying to really focus on the home services industry, but I also only do this for you all. So, like, leave some comments, ask some questions, find me on Facebook, tell me what you want to see, you know, tell me what you want to hear about, who you want to hear about, who you want to hear it from. Yeah, let people know the show exists. If you want to work at a great company, come see us at Potomac, PA, Delaware, Maryland, and Virginia. We're hiring. All right. We love you guys. We'll see you next time.